John, what are your thoughts?
Shut up.
Schwallie, no.
Math does not make sense.
That was the worst math you've ever done. What about you, Drew? What do you think?
I'm sorry, but you're just incorrect. Flat out.
Perk, you referred to Kyrie Irving as a distraction after he raised concerns about the NBA restarting in Orlando and, in your opinion, taking away from the Black Lives Matter movement. As a result of this, Kevin Durant quickly responded by calling you a sellout on social media, along with posting a shot of you airballing a jumper. So, Perk, I gotta ask you, what's your response?
Here's my response. KD, my brother, just because I don't agree with what Kyrie got going on, don't mean I'm not fighting the same fight that you all are fighting.
So Kendrick Perkins, a couple days ago, called out Kyrie Irving, saying that Kyrie Irving was confused, was showing his lack of leadership with how he was handling the whole return, not return, do I want to go to Orlando, do I not want to go to Orlando, his whole situation that we covered in a podcast a couple episodes back. Now, you just heard Kendrick Perkins responding to Kevin Durant after Kevin Durant called him a sellout and then tweeted a picture of Kendrick Perkins airballing a shot. My thoughts on this are similar to Kyrie, where it's like the message is just coming from the wrong person. In the same sense that we didn't like the message Kyrie was sending because it was coming from Kyrie and because of all the circumstances that we discussed, where he wanted to go originally and then when he couldn't go, he all of a sudden didn't want anyone to go. Isn't Kevin Durant one of the biggest sellouts in NBA history and now he's calling someone else a sellout? Didn't he sell out from his team at Oklahoma City? Am I missing something? John, what are your thoughts?
Yes, but I feel like it's an entirely different conversation. Like this is I think he's referring to him as a sellout in terms of, on a racial term instead of a team one. I mean, that was KD's decision to go on a professional basis. Like his decision to go to Golden State was his based on where he thought it could take his career. And I'm not going to defend it because it was a snake move and KD sucks for what he did. But, I mean, I just don't know if that's necessarily a fair comparison.
John, I disagree with you on this one completely. I think KD and Kyrie are a match made in heaven for each other. They are so hypocritical. KD's out here calling someone a sellout when he is one of the biggest sellouts in the NBA. He literally left his franchise for no reason other than to go win a ring because he'd never won a ring before. And Kyrie Irving is one of the biggest sellouts in the NBA right now. Kyrie Irving is, again, an incredibly hypocritical player, and I think they're a match made in heaven. They're going to work great together.
Schwallie, you know what? I agree that they are a match made in heaven, and I agree that he should definitely not have called him a sellout, but I still don't necessarily know if it's fair to compare what KD did in terms of going to Golden State to the movement that's going on right now. That's all I'm trying to say.
I have an issue with players when they come out and they say one thing and their previous actions have just shown the complete opposite. Kendrick Perkins is clearly not a sellout. His comments that we heard to intro this segment showed that he is totally for the movement. It's just Kevin Durant and Kyrie. Do you think Kyrie Irving's in Kevin Durant's head? Do you think it's already happened? They haven't even played together.
I mean, they're hanging out all the time. They have to be.
Yeah, they might be a match made in heaven, but I don't think it's a good one. It's more like a match made in hell. It's I know how much Durant wants to play. I don't know how much Kyrie wants to play, though. And then both of them, I just don't really know about I don't really know about either of their leadership abilities. Neither of them have proven that they're able to be the leader on a team.
I have a really good question. Who do you think would be the perfect trio to add to that destructive trio? In terms of superstars in the NBA, who do you think we could add? And just off the top of my head, as I'm talking, Joel Embiid.
Are we talking about destructiveness or talent?
Well, talent, like Kyrie and KD, mixed with destructiveness and impulsiveness and...
I have a sneaky pick. If Jimmy Butler forced his way out of the Heat, and he's coming off forcing his way out of the Bulls, out of the Timberwolves, out of the Heat, out of the Sixers in like a 4-year span, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be pretty cool.
I mean, the question is what type of player are you looking for with a Kyrie and Durant? Like, what would be their best complement?
I thought a center might be it.
You think a center? I think that Durant might be big enough where center's not your biggest need in like a superstar player right there if you're going for the trio. That was my thinking.
I'm just thinking in terms of being a diva. Jimmy Butler is like that player who calls out everyone, and I think him calling out Kyrie Irving would be top banter.
Yeah, I don't know if Kyrie would ever want to step on the court with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I don't think that would ever
What
happen.
about like Kawhi, dude?
No, because Kawhi wouldn't say anything.
Yeah, he's too
No,
quiet.
Kawhi wouldn't say anything, but he would just I feel like KD and Kyrie would both be happy as long as they're like winning a lot and as long as they're the stars.
We all know how closely connected you are to the Cowboys, Stephen A. What are your thoughts on Dak getting ready to sign that tag today?
Well, I think it's the wise thing for him to do, and I haven't been of that mindset. I've marched with Marcus Spears on this one for quite a long time. For months, I was talking about I wouldn't show up to Dallas Cowboys training camp. I wouldn't talk to Jerry Jones. I wouldn't say a word. I wouldn't even wear Dallas Cowboy paraphernalia because I've religiously felt like the Dallas Cowboys have disrespected this man.
Stephen A. Smith clearly thinks the Cowboys are disrespecting Dak Prescott, as it's recently been reported that Dak plans to sign his $31.4 million franchise tender. So let's just get it out there. Drew, what would you pay Dak?
A lot of money.
How much? Per year? Guaranteed.
Per year? I would give him $30 million.
That's the most you give him, Drew?
No, I think I could negotiate around that, but $30 million, yeah, that's the starting point. I wouldn't go up to 38, of course.
John?
I think I would top out at 35. That would be like the max contract because, I mean, I feel like he does deserve a little bit of a payday.
Honestly, I feel like both of us are pretty high on that. I feel like a lot of
That's
people
super
are
high, and I feel like that's reasonable.
I do think that Dak is more deserving of the contract than a lot of people are saying. Because I'm not entirely with the notion that like if this was Tony Romo, he would have already been signed. But I do think that you have to look at Tony Romo and just at the Cowboys quarterback position over the past few decades. I think that the Cowboys fans have just become very ungrateful with what they have at quarterback right now. I mean, they have not had a quarterback he led the league in passing yards last year. He was like top 3 or something. He's an above-average quarterback. I think he eventually deserves to be paid as such. Lucas, what do you think?
Drew, do you remember when they had Brandon Whedon?
Exactly, dude. It's like they completely don't remember that, like how hard it is to get a quarterback.
I don't even know who
not
Brandon
that
Whedon
easy.
is. I don't even know who Brandon Whedon is.
Browns, dude, flaming Whedon.
For me, I'm kind of in between both you guys, Drew and John. Like, I think there's no doubt in my mind that Dak deserves the money. He was a later round draft pick. He's been nothing but a stud for the Cowboys. He's had no off-the-field issues. He's rarely complained about the money he's receiving, even though he's getting paid pretty much nothing. I think if I'm the Cowboys, I would...
$31 million this year, to be fair, isn't too bad.
That's going to be his first payday, though. He hasn't even signed it yet. He's planning on signing it.
Yeah.
Because he's looking at $31 million being like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Like I should be getting 200 or whatever.
But if I'm the Cowboys, I think I'm willing to offer him $35 a year for 3 years. So you end up at about $105, or $25 a year for 5. So you end up at $125. But I either go higher on the money and less on the years, or lower on the money and more on the years. I just can't do like a 5-year, $35 million deal. That's outrageous. What about all the players that they won't be able to sign because they're signing Dak Prescott? When you pay a quarterback $35 million, you can't put the pieces around them. It could actually, if the Cowboys just franchise them this year, work right into their hands when the franchise tag next year, because the cap goes down, is $25 million for a quarterback. And you still have the option of whether you want to franchise him then or not.
I think that's ridiculous. I don't think there's a chance that happens.
You don't think there's a chance the cap goes down?
Down to 25. No, there's no shot that... Wait, are you saying that his franchise tag would go down to 25?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if the cap goes down after this
Well,
year.
his
The franchise tag is
doesn't
determined by the
matter.
market value of quarterbacks,
No, it's
right?
like the top. It's like the average of the top 5% of contracts at that position.
My issue is that I think the Cowboys are stupid for signing Amari Cooper if you're going to have to
Oh,
sign Dak.
100%,
Yeah.
I agree.
Like, you draft a
They
rookie wide
drafted
receiver.
CD Lamb.
Yeah.
They got their guy, and now they're signing. What are they paying Amari Cooper? Like, isn't it like 6 years,
Hold up,
90 mil or something?
You know what's a great comparison to who just is completely like Amari Cooper in the NFL right now?
Yeah.
But for some reason, every other team has figured out, hey, let's not sign this dude to a huge deal. Jadeveon Clowney. Tons of talent, inconsistent. When he's good, he goes off in games and can dominate, and he'll just disappear a bunch.
I think Jadeveon Clowney is a lot better than Amari Cooper, and I think Jadeveon Clowney got screwed by COVID. Because Jadeveon Clowney was really good last year. And even when he disappears, you still have to use up at least 2 guys blocking him. I think that he is.
He only had 3 sacks last year, bro.
Yeah, but he also would just take up blockers and stuff. And he's more of a run defense.
He's never had more than 9.5 sacks, and he was supposed to be a pass rusher out of college.
That's a lot of sacks, first of all. Second of all, he's turned into more of a well-rounded player. He's one of the best outside linebackers in football.
He's never had more than 60 tackles. That's not a good all-around player.
Dude, he is one of the best outside linebackers in the NFL.
No, it's exactly like Amari Cooper. He blows up, and everyone thinks he's nice, and he has great games,
No, it's not like Amari.
and then he disappears forever.
No, but he still has so much more value when he disappears. Because if he's not just disappearing, he's taking up blockers and taking up space on the field and stuff. Amari Cooper, when he has bad games, he literally just doesn't do anything to help.
To me, it just looks like they don't try when they have bad games. It's like you obviously they're trying. Obviously they're trying because they're NFL players. Enough to know that he disappears. Like I watched the Seahawks play the 49ers twice last year. There was one game where Jadeveon Clowney was the most important player on the field, and there was another game where Jadeveon Clowney didn't matter. How does that?
I mean,
That's what Amari Cooper does.
That happens with a lot of players. I think that Jadeveon Clowney is way better than Amari Cooper, though, and I don't think it's a comparison.
John, what are your thoughts on the comparison?
Especially
I think
considering
Amari
one's an
Cooper-
outside linebacker and one's a wide receiver.
John, what are your thoughts on the comparison?
I think Amari Cooper is. I think he dominates people who are not stellar cornerbacks or stellar DBs, and then I think he gets shut down by most really good DBs, and like a Marshawn Lattimore, Stephon Gilmore, other really good DBs in the league could probably lock him up.
Yeah.
And last year kind of proved it. I know in the Saints game he was pretty ineffective. In the Patriots game, did he even have a catch?
I think he had 1 or 2 for like 20 yards off of Gilmore.
Ready for this Jadeveon Clowney stat? So last year he played in 13 games. In 9 of them, he had 1 tackle or less. 1 tackle or less!
So who would you pay more?
Really?
Who would you
I'm
pay
telling
less?
you,
Who would you pay
he
more?
is inconsistent
Who
as
would you
balls.
pay- Who would you pay more, Clowney or Cooper?
So it's tough because it totally depends on your need. But I think the most I would pay Amari Cooper would be 5 years at $15 million. So I would give him essentially like
The exact same
$75
contract.
million.
The exact same
He got
contract
70.
minus
I
a
thought
year.
I wouldn't give him another year. 5 to 15, and I wouldn't make it all guaranteed. Obviously.
Oh, okay.
And then with Jadeveon Clowney, I would probably give him like 4 at like 18 or something. Like a little more annually, but like a little less overall. And like with both of them, I think I'd guarantee about like a base of $40 million. I think it's so close. That's why I asked the comparison. I think it's literally
I
like
think that is so ridiculous. Those are not 2 comparable players. They're not in the same.
What would you pay
realm.
them?
I would pay Amari Cooper maximum maybe 9 or 10 million, and I would pay Jadeveon Clowney somewhere 16 to 18 in that neighborhood.
So then why isn't Jadeveon Clowney able to get a contract, and why did Amari Cooper just
Because
get
of
$90 million?
COVID. And Amari Cooper signed way like before everything started to shut down. That's the simple answer.
John, what would you pay him?
Conspiracy here or anything.
I think I'd pay Amari Cooper like 13 or 14, and I think I'd pay Davion maybe 12.
That's what are they comparable?
Hearing this, less than one or less tackles in 9 of the 16 games last year. That's pretty unacceptable. After that,
No. It wasn't 9 out of 16. It was 9 out of 13. He missed 3 other games.
9 out of 13.
So how do you end up with 60 tackles on the year?
Because he went off in the other games. That's what I'm trying to tell you, bro. Like, those were only his solo tackles, and the total 60 was, like, the most he'd ever had in 1 year. He didn't have 60 last year. The most he's ever had in a single season is 60 tackles.
AFC West, I think, is very competitive. Chiefs to win, Broncos second, Chargers, and Raiders. I got to tell you something. I thought Vic Fangio did a really good job in the second half of the season last year. I thought Denver really came alive, and I love Denver's offseason. Chargers rounded out 5-11. I'll watch their schedule and see. I think the division's too tough for them. I don't think they're good enough defensively to compete. The Raiders 5-11.
You just heard Colin Cowherd make his AFC West predictions. Continuing on with our AFC West predictions, we'll start off with the Raiders. They open Week 1 at the Carolina Panthers. Drew?
That's a win.
John?
That's a win.
Win.
1-0.
Home against the Saints.
That's a loss.
Loss.
1-1.
Week 3 at the New England Patriots.
That's a win.
Yeah, win.
Loss.
2-1.
Home against the Bills.
That's a win.
It's a loss.
That's a loss.
2-2.
Week 5 at the Kansas City Chiefs.
That is a loss.
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 2-3.
Coming out of the bye, Week 7, home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That is another loss.
Yeah, loss.
Loss.
2-4.
At the Cleveland Browns.
Loss.
Win.
Win.
I hate you guys. 3-4.
Week 9 at the Los Angeles Chargers.
That's a loss.
Loss.
Win.
3-5.
Week 10, home against the Broncos.
That's a win.
It's a loss.
Win.
4-5.
Week 11, home against the Kansas City Chiefs.
That is a loss.
It's a loss.
Loss.
4-6.
At the Atlanta Falcons.
That is a win.
Loss.
Win.
5-6.
Week 13 at the New York Jets.
That is a win.
Win.
Loss.
6-6.
Week 14, home against the Colts.
That is a win.
It's a win.
Win.
7-6.
Home against the Chargers.
That is a win.
That is a win.
Loss.
8-6. Watch out.
Home against the Dolphins.
That is a win.
That is a loss.
Loss.
It's a bold take. 8-7.
Week 17, finishing up the season at the Denver Broncos.
That is a loss.
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 Final record, 8-8.
Moving on to the Broncos, they opened their season Week 1 home against the Titans.
That's a win.
That is a win.
Win.
1-0.
Week 2 at the Steelers.
That's a loss.
That is a loss.
That's a win.
1-1.
Week 3 home against the Bucks.
That is a win.
That is a win.
That's a win. Brady struggles in Denver.
2-1.
Week 4 at the New York Jets.
That is a win.
That is a win.
That's a win.
3-1.
At the New England Patriots.
That's a loss.
That's a win.
That's a loss.
3-2.
Week 6 home against the Dolphins.
That's a win.
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 4-2.
Week 7 home against the Chiefs.
That's a win.
Win.
Loss.
5-2.
Coming out of the bye, Week 9 at the Atlanta Falcons.
That is a loss.
Win.
Win.
6-2.
Week 10 at the Raiders.
That is a loss.
Win.
Loss.
6-3.
Week 11 home against the Chargers.
That's a win.
That is a win.
That's a win.
7-3.
Week 12 home against the Saints.
That's a loss.
It's a win.
That's a loss.
7-4.
Week 13 at the Kansas City Chiefs.
That is a loss.
It's a loss.
That's a loss.
7-5.
Week 14 at the Carolina Panthers.
That's a loss.
It's a win.
Win.
8-5.
Week 15, home against the Bills.
That's a win.
Win.
Loss.
9-5.
Week 16, at the Los Angeles Chargers.
That is a loss.
It's a loss.
It's a loss.
9-6.
Week 17, at the Las Vegas Raiders.
That is a win.
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 Final record, 10-6.
Today we welcome Damian Attidore to the HangTime Headlines podcast. Damian is entering his senior year and plays soccer for UMass Lowell. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, it's good to have you, man. So how has your virtual training been so far?
It's been alright. I think I've been able to get outside and train with a couple friends. My friends Jacob Fitzgerald and Brandon Vasquez are kind of like my personal coach and trainer right now, and so they have dumbbells and bands and stuff. So we've been able to get outside, get to the field, do workouts and stuff. So that's been good. And then our strength coach here at school gave us like an app we can go into for special workouts and stuff as well. So it's been pretty good, pretty easy to keep up with stuff.
Have you been able to practice with teammates?
Yeah. So, like I said, I've been training with a couple guys, but also more recently we've had a bunch of the guys from the team. We got a bunch of local guys, like 12, 13, 14 guys who are from around here. So we've been trying to get a bunch of guys once or twice a week just to play some small size, some pickup, and that's been really good. So we're gonna try to do that more and more, and just kind of do what we can before the season starts.
How do you think this offseason will impact the team negatively and positively?
I think negatively, I think it'll have the same impact on every team. So I think luckily we're all going to be on like the same playing field when we get to whenever the season will be, because we're all in the same situation, we're all in the same boat. But I think positively, it's, everyone's kind of hungry right now. Everyone just wants to get back on the field because our spring season got cut short too, and we didn't get to play any spring games this year. So everyone just really wants to be on the field. There's no drag. There's no maybe I just won't do anything today. Everyone wants to be back because we've missed so much time at this point.
So everyone seems to be motivated. What are the team goals for the upcoming season?
I mean, it's got to be to win the conference, the America East. I think last 2 years UNH just kind of dominated it. It's a very talented team, and I think, but we also have like a bunch of other teams in the conference who are also super talented as well, like Albany and Vermont, Stony Brook, teams like that. So Hartford. So we'll have to see. I think that's probably the goal, is to win the conference, try to make it to the national tournament, and see where it can go from there. Because once you're in, you can kind of do whatever happens,
Do you have a favorite soccer player?
I mean, growing up, it was probably anybody on the Revs. I was a big Revs fan because that's the local team. Big MLS guy. Still am a big MLS guy, but probably Taylor Schwalman, Charlie Joseph, Clint Dempsey, those guys. But nowadays, I like Dani Alves. He's a right back. He used to play for Barcelona, and then probably Jamie Vardy on Leicester City. He's just an absolute dog. Made it from the bottom. Chugs Red Bulls before games. He's just great.
Do you have an opinion on who's better, Messi or Ronaldo?
I'm a Messi guy, but as I've gotten older, I start to respect both guys, Messi and Ronaldo. But because Ronaldo's just a worker, he just works so hard, he grinds all the time. But Messi's my guy. He's a smaller guy, kind of more of a technical player. He doesn't have all the flashy skill moves and stuff, but he's just, every time he touches the ball, it's gold. So I'm more of a Messi guy.
I just love how they're like the two best players in soccer, and they're two like completely different players. I think it's
exactly.
Sick. So who's the best player that you've ever played with?
That's a tough one. I've played with a bunch of super talented guys, especially here in college, and even back at like club days too. Because like my Seacoast team, my club team, my senior year, we probably have like 8 or 9 guys now who are playing in D1, and then like 13 or 14 guys who went on to play college somewhere. But once I got here, it's a completely different level with like all the Croatian players and European players that are here, But one guy who's I think he slept on, and like I think because of all the other talent we have, is Frankie Martinez. He got drafted in the 3rd round, I think, 2 years ago by Kansas City, and he's one of those guys who, like, you just see him play, he makes everything look super easy, and he's super humble, great guy off the field too. So I would have to say Frankie Martinez easy.
Do you have any superstitions?
Yeah, I used to have more. In high school, before all of my games, I would eat McDonald's pancakes before every game. Yeah, every morning I'd have to go. Like, I would literally, like, if I didn't have any money on me, I used to have a coin bag in my car to have loose change and shit, and I would like, fucking, whatever I could do, I would go to McDonald's, get those pancakes before the game, because I thought if I didn't eat them, I would play bad.
Didn't you used to eat those pancakes in one bite, too?
Yeah, so, but we used to that's what I used to eat before games, and putting on my socks a certain way, tying the shoes a certain way, those type of things. But
Are you a big trash talker?
no, I'm pretty quiet, to be honest, pretty quiet when I play, but if someone initiates it, I'll draw back and forth with them. I think we have like every week or so we'll play like small-sided, and that gets super competitive, so whenever someone's trying to say something to me, I'll let them know I'm still there. I'll get in their face about it, but other than that, I'm pretty quiet, pretty calm with it.
What do you attribute your love and work ethic to the game to?
It's gotta be my mom, to be honest. You know, like, she used to drive me all over the place, man. Like, to New Hampshire for practice 4 times a week. You know, and then games. We have games sometimes in Canada, fucking games in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Connecticut, Rhode Island, whatever. And she was driving me everywhere, and, you know, after working all day, and so, like, I look at it as, like, if I'm not working hard to try to get something out of this, then, you know, it's a waste of her time, it's a waste of my time, it's a waste of everyone's time. So I think that's where it comes from, just to see her work ethic, because she was one of the hardest working people I know.
Thank you so much for joining us, bro.
No worries, y'all.
Ballin' crazy with the hang time.